What is going on? Welcome to the Only Football Channel. My name is Kyle, and gosh, we did it. We made it. We're here. Had some technical difficulties trying to get my setup done today due to some things being moved around. And I did want to make a subtle tweak. Instead of doing Wednesday, which typically would be Only Football with Kyle, and then Thursday, I thought for this time of year, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday would be best because we are getting into preseason and there will be games on Friday. So I'm super stoked. We are here 7/24/2023. We have made our way towards the end of July, which all we had to do was make it through July. That's the point where we know football's back. And this is actually a pretty big day. Now, usually I would say let's just fast forward July because once we get to August, we get football. But not me, because tomorrow the Denver Broncos will be unveiling something new. I don't know if it's just a helmet. I don't know if it's an entire new uniform. I don't know if it is a alternate. I don't know what the extent of it will be, but that is going to be tomorrow, and I'm super excited about it. I even wanted to go live at midnight with it released and show you guys what it is, but I could not confirm that it will be released at midnight, okay? So while we do this podcast in 7 minutes, because Colorado time, Mountain Time, is 1 hour ahead of me, in 7 minutes, it will be midnight Mountain Time, and we will have an opportunity to sneak over to the Broncos Twitter and see if they release anything. So just so you know that that's going on in the background, in the back of my head, we can get right into some news. Nyheim Hines has suffered non-life-threatening injuries. I want to start off with that. I even made a short about this earlier today, and I go out of my way to right off the bat, even in the title, non-life-threatening. I just clickbaiting over somebody's life is wrong. He did suffer a severe injury. It was a knee injury. And this is what we know so far. Nyheim Hines suffered a significant knee injury offsite and is expected to miss the entire 2023 season. A tough break for Buffalo and the versatile Hines, who was acquired at the trade deadline last fall. Buffalo Bills running back Nyheim Hines, his 2023 campaign is over before it started. He suffered a significant knee injury offsite and is expected to miss the entire upcoming season. That little thing they keep adding here, off-site, that's actually a big deal. When football players get injured, and I learned this with Jawan Taylor, I believe, the Broncos left or right tackle that they acquired from Miami. He sat out the COVID year, and the year before that he had an injury, and then the year after the COVID year he hurt himself again. And I believe KJ Hamler did the same thing. Now, if you, and this is kind of BS, right? But if you're watching that quarterback documentary on Netflix, you know that players have their own private trainers, right? They have their own way, their own remedy. This guy uses a chiropractor. This Patrick Mahomes uses somebody that worked him out when he was a kid. Now, these are in addition to what the teams are doing. So they drive into work. I'm sure there's an understanding between Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, like, hey, in the same documentary or Netflix TV series, you see Marcus Mariota running hills in practice. I'm sure there's an understanding like, hey, don't make me run hills, right? Because I'm working out with my private guy, and that's that's something that is earned, right? The right to be special. And I think Mahomes has definitely earned that. Okay. But if you get hurt off the facility or campus or whatever they're calling it, off the job, then you do not get paid unless you have guaranteed money. So even if you get hurt in a outside facility, somebody that is not in any way related to the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills, that is really bad for these players. That is that makes this different than all of the other times we see players get injured, right? So a huge bummer for Nyheim Hines. I don't know the in and outs of his contract, but um, that's just something to know on the unfortunate side. So Pelissero reported Hines was sitting stationary on a jet ski and was struck by another rider, sustaining a serious but non-life-threatening injury. Pelissero adds that Hines suffered an ACL injury in his left knee, and surgery is likely to occur this week. So, I mean, anytime you got surgery involved, you kind of hit that threshold of seriousness that it's looking like here. So definitely a serious injury, going to require surgery. Now, Buffalo acquired Hines midseason last year in a trade with the Indianapolis Colts, which Jinja is a huge fan of the Colts, and he actually commented on that short. Always cheering for Hines because he was a Colt. I'm the same way with the Broncos. And he was taking a pay cut to remain with the Bills this offseason. And it's not the first time that we've seen players that have played for teams that are out of the playoff picture in November take a pay cut to be on a winning team. And we're even seeing higher caliber running backs do it now. We just saw Joe Mixon take a pay cut to remain with the Bengals and to open up money for the Joe Burrow contract. So people really do value being on a winning team. And man, with everything going on with running backs right now, he takes the pay cut. Maybe that was his only opportunity, right? But it looks good that he took it. But it is possible that maybe they didn't even give him, a choice. It was like, hey, you're going to go to free agency or you can take a pay cut. But if you go to free agency, just know that room is filled of Delvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley are now in it. I mean, he had no chance, right? So moving on, the shifty Hines was expected to be a pass-catching option out of the backfield behind James Cook, Damian Harris, and Latavius Murray. With Hines out for the year, the third down role in passing situations will be up for grabs. A dynamic returner who famously returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in Week 18 last season. Hines was expected to be the primary kick and punt returner for the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills now must fill those 2 spots with Deontay Hardy, Khalil Shakir, and Micah Hyde as the main in-house options. Season-ending injuries can be painful, but when they happen before your season even starts, it's even worse. First off, I hope he recovers extremely fast. I hope he's able to make it back this season and shock everybody and contribute to the Bills. But with that said, I think from a Buffalo standpoint, James Cook seemed to be getting better last year, and I expect him to be even better this year. Damian Harris is a New England running back, so we already know that those guys can do the pass catching stuff, right? And Latavius Murray, we had him last year. We acquired him after we lost Javonte Williams with an injury, and he was in London playing for the Saints. He was on the Saints practice squad. The Saints activated him played him. He scored a touchdown in London, then went back on the practice squad. And if you're on the practice squad, anybody can give you a contract or reach out. And then Denver signed him while he was on the Saints practice squad. The next year, Denver played Jacksonville in London. And Latavius Murray scored a touchdown. I think he became the first player to score a touchdown in London in back-to-back weeks. Talk about your circadian rhythm. That is the sun going up and the sun going down. When you go through too many time zones and you feel all over the place, that's because your circadian rhythm is messed up. As a person that used to fly for a living from time zones, 12-hour flights every day, I can tell you that this is a real thing. And Latavius Murray looked like nothing, right? He's a professional. He takes care of his body. He is very underrated. He stepped in for Denver behind a terrible offensive line and somehow still managed almost like 5 yards a carry. Latavius Murray is such a good pickup. And honestly, Buffalo, I don't even believe that they needed, they had a need for a fourth running back. Now, you can never have too many weapons, and I can totally get that. But as far as teams like getting hit, this is not Saquon Barkley getting injured for the Giants. This is not, I can't even think of the best running backs right now because a lot of them don't even have a contract. But this is a Buffalo offense that will still be dynamic. I'm not sure if this ultimately makes a difference. As far as the Buffalo was going to win 13 games, and after the injury, now they're probably going to win like 10. No, I don't even think it makes a touchdown difference, but maybe it does. It's one of those things we'll never know. Like if creatine works, it's all you know is how big you are on it. You'll never know how big you would have been had you not taken it. But we do know that where this will be impacted the most is on special teams. Returning 2 touchdowns, 2 kickoffs for a touchdown in 1 week is not nothing, especially when that game was the first game that Buffalo played since the tragic accident on the field they had at Cincinnati. And I think Buffalo probably wanted to keep him on the team exclusively for special teams. And that is where Buffalo will be hurting the most. And it'll be interesting to see who will step up and be the primary kick and punt returner for Buffalo. Once again, it's Deontay Hardy, Khalil Shakir, and Micah Hyde are the 2 people that are looking to take that spot. We have Bill in the chat, always puts a smile on my face. Bill says, taking a pay cut, make sure he has a job. Darius Slayton did that last year for us. Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler. That's most of the big names. So you go through and you try to figure out like, hey, who's the most valuable running back that actually is on a contract currently? Probably like Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, but it's crazy. I mean, we used to rattle these off. We could always go Ezekiel Elliott, CMC. We still got CMC signed with the 49ers, but the dynamic has changed a little bit. So I really hope he gets better, though. Always hate hearing a player get hurt, especially, just out there trying to enjoy your little bit of free time before you got to report to training camp and get ready to put your body through hell, and you're just out on a jet ski trying to have a good time. But you gotta be safe. We've seen this before. I think there was a pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. I think this was like 4 years ago. I don't know if he was a pitcher, so forgive me, but I do believe he played for the Rays, and he got in a jet ski accident and actually died in it, which is terrible. But these things happen. And, a lot of times us as fans, and I know I felt this way with Demaryius Thomas. Um, you just you see these. I mean, for me, because I'm a younger generation. I'm 28 years old. I'll be 29 in about a week. But my generation, like, I was in middle school or high school when Demaryius Thomas was drafted. I remember where I was. And to become an adult and then see, hey man, this is just another human and they die. You see them as like, oh, these invincible guys. They're in the best shape of their life. They're shredded and ripped, but they are not, they're not safe from the obstacles of life. And I just hope that, we just see things like this less and less. It's been a long time since I've seen something probably like this, probably since Ohio State, the quarterback that was walking on the highway. But man, it's so sad to see. So there is a couple different things I wanted to go through. So DeAndre Hopkins made a comment about signing with the Texans. He said he was very happy, and he also included that people are writing us off. And I want to remind the people of one thing that happens to be really important. During the Malik Willis quarterback game, Sunday Night Football at Kansas City, Tennessee, Kansas City, I remember I was at work. I was looking on my phone and I'm watching the game and I'm like, dude, how is Malik Willis so bad? I mean, I'm going to pull up his stat line in that game, but Malik Willis versus Chiefs stats. It was, here we go, 2022. 2022. Yep, loss, overtime. He was 5 for 16. He was 5 for 16, 80 yards passing. This is an entire game plus overtime. 5 for 16, 80 yards passing, a 31.3 completion percentage. And here's what's crazy. He had a long of 48 yards. So he had one pass that went for 50 basically, and the other 4 combined went for 30 yards. It was bad. His QBR guys, it was 10. 10. I mean, we see QBRs from good quarterbacks over 100, 120, 10. So they were like, the fact that they had the Chiefs in overtime told me, well, like they got a good defense. And I already knew that, but they are coached. Mike Vrabel shows up when it's time to play Kansas City, who a lot of people consider the loudest stadium in the NFL. It's not an opinion unless it's Seattle or Kansas City, but the loudest hostile environment. Patrick Mahomes, easily the most electric football player that we may have ever seen. And you got to go in there with Malik Willis, and somehow he has the worst game imaginable. I mean, there's one worse that comes to mind, and that's when Broncos played the Saints, and all of our quarterbacks were violating the COVID rule. So we had to start a wide receiver that had never played quarterback besides like some high school ball. But besides that, this was one of the worst quarterback performances I've probably ever seen in my life. And at the end of the day, the game's in overtime. The game is in overtime. And you go, well, Mike Vrabel, man, he must be a good coach because he can game plan for the Chiefs. Because the year before that, The Tennessee Titans held Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to the lowest score ever. Patrick Mahomes scored 3 points the entire game. I didn't even remember this until I was watching the Netflix series, and he comes up and he goes, "Yo, the Titans are really good. Their defense always plays really good. Mike Vrabel held me to like 3 points. We didn't even get a touchdown." And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, that's one of those stats that the longer Mahomes plays, the more incredible it is. Like, okay, when Mahomes first got in the league, we knew he was good, right? But now here we are at the end of 5 years, and he's gone to 3 Super Bowl. He's won 2. He's been in the AFC Championship every year. Now that stats, like, you held him to 3 points. That's crazy. Okay, so I do believe Mike Vrabel, even with the offense as bad as it was, they do have the ability, when they're healthy, to win football games. And Ryan Tannehill is going to be there. Derrick Henry's going to be there. Now they added DeAndre Hopkins. Remember, they drafted a receiver last year. That's why they sent A.J. Brown to Philly, is because they drafted who did they draft? I was telling you guys when DeAndre Hopkins got traded. See if it comes up right here. It's on the who did they? Okay. I think it'll be right here. Blockbuster trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, so A.J. Brown went to the Eagles, and the Titans get the 18th and 101st overall pick. And Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. So you do have 2 weapons. I mean, we have all, I believe, ruled out Tennessee. And I'll tell you why. It's because even when Tennessee was good, nobody believed him. Tennessee has not been a team that people have respected, even when they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. So I know that this is probably no shocker. I mean, Tennessee, their stadium isn't impressive. They're just kind of not a team that gets a lot of hype. They're not Baltimore. They're not Pittsburgh or Green Bay or Dallas, right? Like, they don't have that, like, wow, right? So no one's going to take them serious. And I bet you right now, I'm going to see Titans over under win total. Let's see what they're. 9.5. I wonder, did that go up after they acquired DeAndre Hopkins? 9.5. So look, the wise guys are telling you right now, 9.5. That's a lot of wins. That is a winning season. In most scenarios, that's a team that can get into the playoffs. All right. The AFC is another story, but still, like, you got the experts thinking the same thing I'm thinking, is like, let's hold off on Tennessee for a second. Like, I understand that they had a bad year last year, but we can't just throw away the fact that they, were in the playoffs. Like, unless we're expecting Derrick Henry to take a big fall, DeAndre Hopkins might have a point. And his exact quote was, "I feel like I've always had something to prove personally, and that's how I play the game." Hopkins said on the team's official website. The decision to come to Nashville obviously made a lot of people mad, but I kind of felt at home being here from the get-go from early on. Tennessee is a team not many people put on their list, and I think I am not just speaking for myself, but the team as well. People are writing us off. And when the Cardinals unceremoniously released Hopkins this offseason, he had his list of top team destinations, with Buffalo and Kansas City being at the top of it, and all of his destinations contained some sort of contender, right? He wanted to win. But he also had some others like Detroit and Dallas that surfaced more than once. It was surprising then to see him launch his free agency tour with Nashville and New England after weeks of waiting. His first visit ended up being his best. And that might be something interesting to look at, is that, was this more of a DeAndre Hopkins feeling at home with Tennessee, or was this more of those other teams weren't making an offer? Because um, if you say that Kansas City and Buffalo and Cincinnati and Philadelphia are on your list, then you go, I'd also mess around with Detroit and Dallas, two teams that um, we know, they're good teams right now. We make fun of Dallas a lot. I know I do, but at the end of the day, like, they go to the playoffs, and I don't. My fans, my team doesn't. So they're doing something right. They won a playoff game. Detroit is expected to be in the playoffs, and they're the NFL, the darling of the NFL this year, and that's why they're going to open up the season in Kansas City. But all of a sudden, your tour consists of New England and Tennessee. I'm just, I guess I'll never know unless a journalist writes about it. But did any of those teams that you wanted to go to make an offer? Because if they did, it's very interesting that you chose Tennessee, right? Because anybody can end up in a place they didn't want to be and say, man, we got a good team here. I think we're ready to run. I think this is a team that can win now. We hear this all the time, and we know it's just what people do. They join your team. They pump your fans' tires. They make everyone feel good about themselves. But if he did have offers from Kansas City or Buffalo and chose Tennessee, I think it validates what he's saying even more, right? I believe in Tennessee. That's why I signed here. Not because they're the only team that offered me a contract. I'm here because I believe that this team was a number 1 seed 2 years ago, and I'm the piece that can get us to the Super Bowl. So, DeAndre Hopkins trying to put Tennessee back on the map, and he's the type of player that can do it. When you bring in a guy that can say to the media, teams are writing us off, and NFL puts it on the front of their website page, you've all like, that just comes with bringing a guy like that into your stadium. So 3-time Pro Bowl cornerback Marcus Peters, who we've been talking about, he's come up a lot on our list of top free agents available, has signed a 1-year contract with the Raiders. I'm not happy about that as a Broncos fan, but it's a 1-year deal. So we're going to have to just hope that he doesn't pick off Russell Wilson. The veteran corner has agreed to the 1-year deal, and that was reported by Ian Rappaport. He worked out for the Raiders on Monday and impressed the front office members enough to draw an offer for the team. He's going to bring experience and talent to the secondary that will welcome him following an offseason in which part-time star Rock Ya-Sin left the desert for Baltimore. On its surface, Peter moves from Baltimore to Las Vegas amounts to a 1-for-1 swap with Ya-Sin. The Raiders didn't get any younger with the change, but they will have a fiery cornerback who just turned into a top 50 season in 2022 among all cornerbacks per PFF. Las Vegas has seen plenty of turnovers in its secondary over the last couple of years due to part of a regime change. Peters isn't the all-pro defender he once was in Kansas City or Los Angeles, but at 30 years old, the Raiders are interested in seeing if he has enough left to help them. This reminds me a lot of the Patrick Peterson acquisition from Minnesota. You get, because a lot of corners play like old, I mean, as much as the cornerback position relies on your fast twitch muscles and putting your body, switching positions, flipping your hips, it doesn't seem like a position that would age well. We have also seen cornerbacks play at a high level for a long time. Patrick Peterson was still playing good last year. Champ Bailey played good late into his career. Aqib Talib played late into his career. So this could be a good thing for the Raiders and Marcus Peters. I'm wondering if Patrick Peterson has signed anyone. Oh, I think the Steelers. Yeah, I checked that out last time. It was the Steelers that picked him up. So that is one less free agent that is available. And I'm going to do a quick update on the best NFL free agents that are remaining for the 2023 season. And sportingnews.com has it. And let's see, I just want to make sure this was written May 31st. Not going to cut it. Let's see. All right. July 16th. This will work. So number 1, we have Dalvin Cook. Number 2, Kareem Hunt. Man, Dalvin Cook isn't the only running back on the market that should interest NFL teams. Hunt remains unsigned, despite reportedly garnering interest ahead of the 2022 NFL trade deadline. The former Browns backup is coming off a season that saw him post career low marks in yards per carry, 3.8, and yards per reception, 6. So that may be what's scaring teams off. Still, Hunt is just 4 days older than Dalvin Cook, but he's handled just 1,106 total touches in his career compared to Cook's 1,503. That may mean that the former Brown still has some tread on his tires and could emerge as a starter in the right scenario. Dalvin Cook and Kareem Jackson, it would be like super just gangster is if one team came in and got them both. Could you imagine going to sleep as, pick your team besides, if you have an amazing running back, like besides the Giants or the Bengals, right? If you're just a regular team and you wake up and you got a backfield with Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook, both on your team. Could you imagine that? I don't think it would cost that much money, man. And I think that would be a nasty duo. Just like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were good together. Number 3 on the list was Marcus Peters. So now that he's been signed, we can get rid of him. Dalton Risner, the Broncos guard. I've been watching his case and wondering what's going to happen. He's a good dude, a genuine person, and I was kind of sad that he was going to get released. He was drafted out of Kansas State, and I remember when he was drafted because my son was born the day after, because usually the draft would fall on April 23rd, and that's my son's birthday. And I remember it was he was born, and then the next day we were still in the hospital, and I put the draft on the hospital TV, and I saw him draft Dalton Risner. But he still left a lot to desire, and that's why he's not picked up yet. But he's also number 4 on this list. So, does that mean he's good? And if he's good, then why does anyone get him? Or is there just this talent doesn't have a lot of talent left? It's hard to gauge it because I know Dalvin Cook and Kareem Hunt are really good. And then here you got Dalton Risner. Another offensive tackle, Taylor Lewan. He has played just in 32 games. That's good for only 8 games per season. He started his career in 2019, but he had a problematic knee and he tore his ACL. So we got another lineman from the Tennessee Titans. Or no, his former team was the Titans. Same with Ben Jones. He was a Titan. He was the center for the Titans. So you are seeing the offensive line for the Titans. They're moving some pieces. So that is something I'm going to look into. Who have they replaced Taylor Lewan and Ben Jones with? But it's not going to be super easy just swapping someone else in there. Ben Jones was graded as PFF's 9th best center out of 36 qualified players. And he made his first ever Pro Bowl. So he's in the twilight of his career and he could soon regress. He's 34 years old, or maybe he's got, 3 seasons of domination. Jadeveon Clowney's still available. Justin Houston's available. Man, I want to get in here and get some of these dudes. Robert Quinn, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Carson Wentz. So you do got some players that are still available, and unfortunately, we know that until training camp starts and the inevitable injuries start coming in, these players will start going. And honestly, for them, I don't even think they care. Like if you're a guy like Leonard Fournette, you got your own private trainer, and you're waking up every morning, you're eating good, you're taking care of your body, you're working out with a running back coach, then by the time somebody gets hurt in training camp and they bring you onto the team, like you skipped all of the meetings and I can only imagine, all of the safety meetings and, gambling meetings, which we're still seeing people get in trouble for. It's just like you skipped an entire brief. It's like you show up. I had a job where there was a brief for everything. We'd all stand outside and they would say before the weekend, they would say, all right, so you guys, don't drink, go out, be safe, have a buddy with you, make sure that you're not alone. Don't give your wallet out to strangers. Don't go to this restaurant. It's blacklisted. Don't go to this one. They'll take advantage of you. And then the next guy will go, yeah, and just to piggyback off what he said, you really want to make sure you're not going to these places. I had someone last year that went to it, never saw him again. Then another guy goes, yeah, just to piggyback off what he said. I mean, could you imagine just working out as a running back on your own and you're skipping all of that? And then once it's time to play ball, you just get your uniform, throw your helmet on, review, the playbook real quick. And, that's the difference between being a running back and a quarterback. You can plug and play a lot smoother at that position. So why was I even talking about that? Where was I going with that? This one right here, I only bring up for Bill. They did a segment. It was written by Lance Zierlein. He's a draft analyst. And the segment was top 10 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year candidates in 2023. Bryce Young, Bijan Robinson are leading the pack with like plus 400, plus 600 odds to win it. And Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are the most game-ready quarterbacks in the draft, but they need to prove that they can thrive with the talent advantages they frequently enjoyed in college, playing at a school like Alabama and Ohio State. Okay, so Garrett Wilson was the first New York Jet to win Offensive Rookie of the Year since it became a award in 1967. Okay, no tight end or offensive lineman has ever won the award, but Zach Martin finished second in 2014, and he is still an amazing piece on the offensive line for the Cowboys. And you saw that he's going to hold out for a new contract. And like Zach Martin, he's like the best thing to happen to Dallas, like in the last 10 years. Like he is a Pro Bowler every year. Even when he was a rookie, he was immediately a boss. Let's see if I can see, when was he drafted? He was drafted. He's 32 years old right now. So let's see, stats. Career. So he came into the league in 2014. So I guess I can't. It won't show me here. The NFL needs to like make their website so much better for like analytics and stuff like that. But yeah, while we're reading about Zach Martin, I thought we should mention that he's trying to get himself a contract, and he should get it. The last former Big 12 running back to win the award was Adrian Peterson with the Vikings in 2007. The 2021 and 2022 seasons marked the first time wide receivers won the award in back-to-back years, with Jamar Chase and Garrett Wilson. Okay, let's get into it. The dark horse candidate, he says, is Dalton Kincaid. Tight end, Buffalo. As stated previously, no tight end has ever won this award, but Kincaid has the potential to be a high-volume target with an MVP caliber passer in Josh Allen, so he's worth keeping an eye on. If you're looking for a tight end, like, this happens all the time, especially on fantasy football when we're drafting players. Like, we have it. There's an art to it. Like, the first time you ever play fantasy football, you are in the first round and you draft Patrick Mahomes, and you're like, oh, what a noob. Why would he do that? A noob is just somebody that's completely inexperienced. So you draft Patrick Mahomes, and now everybody knows that you have no idea what you're doing. The actual format goes something normally like running back. So you'll go Christian McCaffrey, and then it comes back down, and you might go Dalvin Cook. Now you got 2 running backs, okay? Then it comes back up. Now you want to get a receiver or a tight end, right? So this is where you'll see like Travis Kelce get drafted, and then you'll see like Darren Waller when he was really good 2 years ago. Hopefully he bounces back and can stay healthy. And then George Kittle, they go right there. But once you get past Travis Kelce and George Kittle, that's it. Like, Darren Waller was in that conversation too, but you want to draft the positions with the least amount of depth. So your chances of getting Travis Kelce, right? You can be in the 5th or 6th round and still get Lamar Jackson, right? Quarterbacks, you can get a quarterback that'll get you 20 points easily. But Dalton Kincaid, being a dark horse candidate, is a great thing, because sometimes players just in the 2nd round will get Travis Kelce, right? Sometimes it's your turn to go in the 3rd round, and all of the tier 1 tight ends are gone. And this is when people draft somebody that they believe in, somebody that maybe ended the season really good last year, like the tight end out of Baltimore. Or you draft a rookie. 2 years ago, it was the dude out of Florida, the tight end out of Florida. He wears number 8. I believe it's number 8. Kyle something. He was like, I think he was picked like really high. He might have been like 5th or something. It was a crazy pick. But anyway, anytime that you draft a rookie tight end, you really are, wishing in one hand and shitting in the other. So the fact that they wrote Dalton Kincaid here, keep that in your head if you are a fantasy football player. He might just go off, and that's a good point. He's gonna be the security blanket for Josh Allen. I just worry, okay, what about Knox, right? how involved will he be? Does Stephon Diggs need, to get a bunch of balls his way? Will that affect Dalton Kincaid? So, it's out there, but it's not the ideal tight end that you want, right? You want to get Travis Kelce, but whatever. Zay Flowers. Okay. Zay Flowers, the odds below are provided by Caesars, and they're current as of 2 p.m. today. Let's see really quick. Let's take a quick little what do we call those, field trips? Take a quick little field trip and see what we have here on. Come on, let me in. Let me in, Twitter. All right, here we are. Twitter, Denver Broncos. I just wanted to see if they put the new uniforms. I really wanted to have that live on camera. Another thing that they're doing are half price tickets tomorrow. They're going to go on sale. I don't know if it's going to be at midnight or what. So look, I got a lot of crap going on right now. And I'm just really, really, really hoping that I can get some of these half price tickets. And I'm wondering, are they going to be available at midnight? And while we're on the topic, our defensive end, Ioma Awazirika, is suspended indefinitely for gambling on games during the season. And he was betting on NFL games, just to clear that up. And he will be able. What is the word I'm thinking of? He will be not able. He will be eligible for reinstatement in 2024. So, another player, another dude that just, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? You make so much money and you're gambling on DraftKings. Bro, come on. Jalen Hyatt was ranked number 9. Okay, so we're going from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the dark horse, it just said dark horse, Dalton Kincaid. I would assume that's number 11. Okay, number 10 was Zay Flowers, drafted for Lamar Jackson, talking about needing receivers. Number 9, Jalen Hyatt, 3rd round, 73 overall. In case you forgot, he is going to be a weapon for Daniel Jones. According to Football Focus, Daniel Jones was next to last in average depth of passing targets last season. Daniel Jones, that is the key right there. We're going to figure it out. There's no more secrets here. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Does Daniel Jones not throw downfield because that's not who he is? Or does he not throw downfield because he didn't have the weapons? Now, anybody can answer that question however they want. We can look at the tape and lean a certain way. But with Jalen Hyatt on the team now, this is the opportunity for us to say, will the real Daniel Jones please stand up? Who are you? And this is what I wonder. If Daniel Jones, in his second year with the play calling, or with the same coach and the same staff and the same team, he goes on to his second season. Does reinventing yourself hinder him? Right? Because now they added weapons, which means they're going to add plays, and those plays are going to be a lot different than a quarterback that was averaging last in average depth, right? So we're talking a lot of dinking and dunking and running and committing hard to the run. And Saquon Barkley, with him not playing potentially, I worry a little bit that they're going to ask Daniel Jones to do something that may not really be him, but we're gonna find out, and I think they will, make those adjustments because Daniel Jones has proven that he can manage football games and he can win them. Um, so do you switch the whole playbook up and make Daniel Jones a deep thrower, or do you just give him a couple bones a game? I'm very intrigued to see the Giants this year. And I'm really happy about that because from a person, especially before I met Bill, um, the Giants were never a team that I like cared about, right? I just always was like, yeah, whatever. Um, and that's why when they were good last year, it was so surprising to me was because I've just paid no attention to them. And then they came out and surprised me. And now this is a year where I'm like, I want to watch a Giants game. I want to watch a Giants game week 1. I want to see what Daniel Jones looks like. I want to see what Jalen Hyatt looks like. I want to see what Dabble looks like as a coach his second year. And because of that, I'm actually really, really happy. Um, there's nothing worse than, it's Thursday night and it's like Bears Commanders. And you're just like, oh, God, why did they pick that game? Um, so every time I can remove a team that I labeled as boring, move them out of my head and put them onto the entertainment side, I'm really happy. And right now, we don't even have that many teams that are not interesting. I mean, I could make a case for almost every team, right? Justin Fields in his second year, the Detroit with their expectations, the Packers with Jordan Love, the Vikings, after making the playoffs, expected to fall back. Will they be able to, keep going and keep surprising people? The Chiefs, the Raiders with Josh McDaniels and, that whole turmoil. Will the Chargers be able to get better under the new offensive coordinator? How is Sean Payton going to be in Denver? There's so many different things to, at this point in the year. I mean, even the worst teams like the Texans and the Panthers have brand new quarterbacks, so brand new quarterback, brand new head coach, and DeMeco Ryans. There's just so much newness and it's fresh and exciting. And part of that is going to be how good will Jalen Hyatt be? And the folks that wrote this article seem to believe that they believe he will do well enough to be considered for the Rookie of the Year award. And that's got to be a really good feeling for Giants fans around the world. And Bill said half price would be cool. And then he said Hodgins came in halfway. We got him, Waller, and Hyatt, and Slayton. That's still hungry. He better throw that damn rock. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It's like we didn't invest all this money, and that's why it's exciting too, is because he has to. Like, to a certain extent, they're going to, in order to justify the money spent, right? It's like if they wanted to commit to being a run, it's like don't pay any of those guys. Just draft and get some, wide receiver 3s and plug them in, and maybe draft a tight end or get Dalen Waller, whatever. But they could have been like, we're going to get Saquon Barkley and Delvin Cook, and we're going to pay all of our money on our offensive line, and we're going to win like that. And this is a very, very familiar theme. I know exactly where the Giants are right now. And this is where it turns left or right. In 2020, in 2020 draft, we drafted Drew Lock in the second round, I believe, and out of Missouri. And he was like the highest, the most hyped up quarterback we've drafted. And then that same season, we brought in Joe Flacco, and he ended up getting benched by like the season, um, and then at the end of the year, we were like, fuck it, throw Drew Lock in and let's see what he's got. So we throw Drew Lock in, and he goes 4-1 in the last 5 games. And we're like, holy crap, dude, we have a quarterback. And he looked good and he looked comfortable. And then in the offseason, they draft Jerry Jeudy in the first round. And then they drafted KJ Hamler right away after that in the second round. So they just started adding weapons, and it was like, whoa, Denver is not saying that they are going to beat Kansas City with defense. They're saying, we're going to go fire for fire. You guys got firepower. We're going to beat you at your own game. And we drafted the fastest receiver in the draft and the best route runner in the draft, and Jerry Jeudy. And no offense to all the other receivers, but Jerry Jeudy is about to take his place as a top 10 receiver this year. That is my very big, bold prediction. But anyway, so that was the expectations for Denver. We loaded up, but at the end of the day, we had a quarterback that could not utilize those weapons because he wasn't good enough. He wasn't reading the plays fast enough. The list goes on, but it didn't work out. And in the offseason, on paper, it looked great. I remember I was telling Rick at work, I'm like, I can name all these names that jump, off the screen. I'm like, we got Melvin Gordon. We have Cortland Sutton. We have Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. Like, I was naming all these players, and I'm like convincing everybody how good our team is going to be. And now Drew Lock, who went 4-1 in his first 5 games, and that guy can sling it. And at the end of the day, it just sounded good. None of it worked. Like, Jerry Jeudy was dropping balls. Like, so the Giants remind me of this. They're young. They just had success with their young quarterback, and it was enough for the fans to believe in Daniel Jones going into the next year. And that's what we had with Drew Lock. We believed going into the next year. And this is where we'll find out what Daniel Jones is about, if he's different or exactly like the scenario I described with Denver, is because now we find out, is he that guy? We gave him all the things to be that guy, but there's only a handful of those type of guys. And we're gonna see. Steve is in the chat, by the way. Shout out to Steve. Konnichiwa. Hope you're having some good tea here at this night. We got half price Bronco tickets coming on sale here in a little bit. I'm not sure if it's gonna be. Oh, what if it was midnight Eastern time and I'm like 3 hours late and there's no tickets left? Steve said, Bill Kyle sitting in a tree, BS, and more BS. Good to have you in here, Steve. Number 8 is Quentin Johnson out of TCU. Wide receiver that was drafted first overall with the 21 pick. He is one of the true wild cards in this category. He's big, 6'4", 215 pounds. He's shown the ability to get downfield, but drops can be a problem. And also, I watched Steve Smith break down his film. He also doesn't control his body well for his size. He plays like a smaller receiver. He does not play like a 6'4" receiver. Once he learns how to Megatron that ball and really step into his abilities, he could, sky's the limit. 6'4", 215 pounds. You got to work on the drops, but that's all mental. Drops, completely mental. Jackson Smith, Seattle. We know that Seattle drafted the best corner and the best wide receiver. This is just offensive player of the year, and Jackson Smith does make the board. And he also was the only wide receiver that Steve Smith said was, totally polished. He doesn't need work. He's ready to go. So Jahmyr Gibbs at number 6. We know that they traded their running back in the middle of the draft because they decided that they just wanted to make a ton of moves. And Jahmyr Gibbs was the second best back. We had Bijan Robinson at Texas. Jahmyr Gibbs makes his appearance here at number 6 overall, and he was picked in the first round, 12th overall. Now, here's what's cool. Jahmyr Gibbs is ranked 6th, right? These are the odds to be Offensive Player of the Year, 6th. And he was picked 12th overall. Number 5, so prediction, as we go down, it's like going to be Bryce Young at number 1, okay? But number 5 was picked at 23 overall on the back end of the draft. And that's Jordan Addison out of Minnesota, which means that is incredible value, right? I mean, we know that Justin Jefferson is the real deal. He's him. He is different, but teams can just double him, right? Teams can double him. They can take him out of the game. We saw Green Bay do that with Jaire Alexander. But now Jordan Addison's going to be there, and he is probably going to benefit massively from that guy on the other side, Justin Jefferson. And if they decide to, focus on him, Jordan Addison's going to be having a day on his own. So, Minnesota, another team where it's like, did they get better offensively? Because they had one of the bottom 2-3 defenses in the NFL last year. And it was their offense that had them winning games. So their defense got better with Brian Flores, former head coach for Miami. Their defense got better. Did their offense get better? And, we all think Minnesota pulls back. I don't know, man. Keeping an eye on that one. Division predictions are coming, though, in the next 14 days. And then I will reveal my truest opinions on every team in the NFL and how the divisions will finish. Number 4, Anthony Richardson, Indianapolis Colts, Florida quarterback, drafted with the number 4 overall pick. And it only takes a Google search to find my NFL draft scouting report for Richardson. You'll quickly learn, I believe, that he is a high ceiling, low floor prospect with accuracy issues who needs a long runway to develop into a quarterback. However, the Colts expedite the process. If they expedite the process, it's worth noting that Richardson is big, 6'4", 232 pounds, and he has the same coach calling plays for him, Shane Steichen, who called plays for Jalen Hurts in 22. His rushing numbers and potential short yardage touchdowns could give Richardson Offensive Rookie of the Year chances a big boost, especially if Young or Stroud struggle out of the gate. And number 3 is CJ Stroud, picked 2nd overall, and then Bryce Young, number 2, 1st overall, and number 1, Bijan Robinson with the 8th overall pick. The only thing that I would say about that to pull back a little bit is that they have an offense. Tyler Algier had a 1,000-yard season last year, and Arthur Smith was able to run the ball, and nobody could stop him. And we learned that week 5 when they played the 49ers and ran for like 200 yards and beat them. So if there was like one team that, if you said there's one team that doesn't need a running back, who is it? I would be, no, that's not true. My point is that Bijan Robinson, how much is he going to eat? Is he going to get the table scraps? I don't believe they would waste that pick if he wasn't. But how much can you also not play a running back that had 1,000 yards and was improving? You're going to have to play them both. And if you're playing them both, I think it's going to be hard for him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Because usually if you're going to win that award, you need to have a year like Ezekiel Elliott, the year he was drafted, a year that he's never surpassed up to this point. So that is the list that they have. I'm going to make my own list and reveal that on Wednesday. Let me see these comments really quick. Bill said 140 mile per hour Jordan Addison, LOL. How goes, Steve? And then Steve said, I'd say Chiefs and Ravens are top teams who don't need a running back. I mean, how much do you really need a running back when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback? And I could maybe buy that. I think you're just saying quarterbacks that run, scrambling quarterbacks. So we got on your list, we have Lamar Jackson. Titans don't need a running back. The Titan Brown add to the don't need. Titans definitely need a running back. Derrick Henry has literally been driving that team. And the Browns have had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They're Nick Chubb's in a lot of ways the best running back in the NFL since he's been drafted. He's like top 3 in everything. In yards per carry, in total yards, in touchdowns. Titans and Browns are very reliant on their running backs, but the Bears, they're going to need a running game because Justin Fields, we know he can run the ball, but he needs to evolve into an actual pocket passer. If he wants to roll out, that's fine, but he's got to get the ball downfield. He has very bad pocket awareness. He freaks out and thinks he's being sacked. If you can run the ball effectively in Chicago and cause them to bring their linebackers up and play closer to the ball, it's going to be easier for a young quarterback learning to throw. So, I mean, you can make a huge argument that the Bears do need a really good running back. They need a good run game. Justin Fields needs a good running back, a good running game. And then Steve said, so we need them Bill said, so we need them for the future, but not in 2023. And Steve said Chiefs because they have so many weapons to catch. Ravens and Bears because of the QB amounts of running plays already. And then Bill said, maybe I stated it wrong. Like, who needs a running back now? Oh, okay. Yeah, Titans, Browns, Giants hopefully have theirs. But it would be interesting to see what happens with that position in the next 4 or 5 years, because you will never, in my opinion, the NFL will never become a game that you don't need a running back. And I think that they might not get paid a ton of money, but you absolutely need a running game. Sean Payton, known for Drew Brees and breaking, how many years did Drew Brees have 4,000 plus passing yards? And how many Pro Bowl years did he have? And who was Drew Brees before Sean Payton showed up? Think who was Drew Brees? Sean Payton changed his whole life. And when he came to Denver, I'm like, oh my God, we're going to be so pass happy. We got our Andy Reid, right? He's an offensive dude. He's not Bill Belichick. He's not a defensive guy. He does the offense. And the first thing that he did when he got here is fix our offensive line and make those preparations to start running the football, because Russell Wilson needs a running game. Because if you don't have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, you need that. You need a running game. And Steve said he was a Charger. He was a Charger. Oh, good old Chargers, man. Austin Eckler's playing on a contract year too, so we'll see. He said he's going to bet on himself, and it's no, that's what they want. They want you. You bet on yourself last year when they didn't pick up your. God, it's just sad what they're doing to them. It's hey, you're on your 4th year. If you have a really good year, we'll give you your 5th year option. No, you're in your 3rd year, and it just concluded. And they're hey, if you have a really, really good 4th year, we'll pick up your 5th year option. And then you have a great year, and then they decline your 5th year option, or they give it to you and they say, if you do really good this year, we'll pay you. And then they franchise tag you. And they're like, oh, next year. And then you get out of the league and you're like, I never even got real money. What the hell is this? Sad, sad, sad. I really want to know what is going to happen, though, with all of these running backs, because the room is getting bigger. And I can't foresee. I mean, it almost feels like the running back market this year may go on strike. And I say that because if the season I mean, we're like a month and 10 days away from September. So as this room fills up, it is worth wondering, like, what's going to happen to all these dudes? I mean, they're too good to not be on TV. Dalvin Cook is too good to not be like on a starting role on a very good team. So I just think if it gets to the point, they may just have to like go on strike, and it would be interesting if they are able to get other running backs in it. And yeah, Steve's totally right. Zeke ruined the paydays for the running backs, completely ruined it. But Cincinnati owner realizes the challenge of looming extensions. I mentioned earlier that there was a Joe Mixon took a pay cut to stay in the team. And this is what the Bengals have cemented themselves as a championship contender the past 2 years, reaching the Super Bowl in 21 and then an AFC championship last year. They've done so behind a cast of a stellar young playmaker, but owner Mike Brown recognizes a bigger bill for the team's premier talent will soon come. And this is what he said. We have good players that need to be fed, Brown said at the team's annual luncheon on Monday per ESPN. Excuse me. That's a challenge. It's mathematical. You get a bag of corn and you have 10 hogs. Well, you're going to put that out to them. The bag's going to be empty, and then some of them aren't going to get it. And this is why Cincinnati and San Francisco are very similar. And if they were in a perfect world, the Bengals and the 49ers would play each other this year in the Super Bowl before the impossible task of paying their talent comes. Because that check's going to be cashed soon, and they're going to, or rather it's not going to be cashed. Whether it's Jamar Chase or T. Higgins or, Tyler Boyd, they are loaded. Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. The defense is going to be nasty this year. So, I mean, this is the never-ending cycle of the NFL. It's like you're really bad, and then you're in a rebuild, and then you get that one player, Joe Burrow, and all of a sudden you're really good, and then you can't pay him, and then pretty soon you're really bad again. But man, I'm really excited. So Wednesday, I'm going to be back on, and I'm going to be telling you guys what the new uniforms look like for the Broncos, and I'll catch you up on that half price ticket stuff. I want to hit some of these comments before. I had some technical difficulties before I started in my laptop. It was just acting stupid, and I wasn't able to charge it. So I want to just say that in case somehow it randomly disconnects. It shouldn't. Bill said, we are 5 to 7 years away from no one being a running back. If you're in school and a running back and you got a shot at the NFL, are you going to stay a running back? Hell no. Who wants to volunteer to be undervalued? It would be interesting to see what would happen if they took that money away from the running back position and spent it on the offensive line and used their own lower running back at the league min. Yeah. I mean, theoretically, yes. But you'll never replace playmakers. Like, there are running backs that do things that you're just like, whoa, like, oh, that's why you have Saquon Barkley, right? Because when you're winning games with Isaiah Pacheco, it's easy to, just forget what a insane playmaker does. And then Thanksgiving happens and you're watching Saquon Barkley and you're just like, can I get a guy that can do that? Um, but I mean, it's possible that, hey, if you're getting 4 to 5 yards a carry, I don't care if you're like, if Saquon Barkley averages 11 yards per carry, he doesn't, but if he did, with the evolution of the NFL, you could say in 5 years, we just want a guy that can average 5 yards a carry. Like, we don't even care that you can do better. We don't care that you can do all that. We just need to keep teams honest. And that's by giving the football to the running back. And literally, if we have a good O line, it doesn't matter that, a better running back would have ran for 30 yards instead of 10 because we want to pass the ball, right? That would be interesting. My personal strategy, if I was a GM, I would always draft the highest value. So if I'm on the board and Saquon Barkley's there and there's, let's say, a wide receiver, I'm going to ask myself, who is just, who's so other, who's different, who's, made out of something different, who's going to be the guy that it takes 10 people to bring down, or yeah, I would always go after the most talent. And I think there's always going to be GMs like that. So I don't think you're going to fully switch to a pass only type league, and I know you weren't saying that, but I do think as long as there are running backs like Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs coming into the league, there's always going to be, people that are going to go after that value. And if that means that you're going to, run the ball 50% of the time, then, so be it. Who cares what everyone else is doing in this new era? I'm still waiting for a team that plays good defense and runs the football to remind people what they're made of. I remember 2015, we couldn't throw the ball at all, but we won the Super Bowl against the highest powered offense in the league in the Panthers, and Cam Newton Superman year. Defense and running the ball won the Super Bowl. 2 years before that, Seattle had the best defense. Denver had a historical offense. We lost by 40 points. So, I would always think that running backs will ultimately be important because controlling the clock, time management, all that stuff is so important in the game. And look at Buffalo. Look how they got beat at home, like embarrassed at home, like just look totally unprepared to be in that type of a game. And they have struggled establishing a real threat in the running game. And it shows. It really does. It shows. So, yeah, it's either these guys are going to start getting picked up here soon, or there's going to be a lot of running backs going on strike. That is something that I think, I haven't heard this from anyone. And there we go. Sorry, guys. My computer crapped the bed on me and died. I was wrapping up anyway. Sorry to do that. So yes, I will be seeing you guys on Wednesday. Thank you for the sticking around. Steve also. Oh, here we go. Steve said right now. In other news, the Bronco fans have decided to boycott Kyle from Star 6 Media for holding a duck hostage by StreamYard. More on this later on Tonight News. Oh no. Oh my God. You know, it's funny that you bring that up because that duck symbol, I've been trying to figure out how to get that away for a while. And I was talking to Aaron and I was like, I don't think people notice it. And then later that day you brought it up. So I'm going to check out that stuff, man. I hope your teams are also doing 50% off tickets. You know, that would be dope. And I guess I'm just gonna have to clip out that part where it got screwed up in the middle. But if you're new to the channel, you can follow me at FTBLONLYPODCAST, Football Only Podcast, on Twitter. And I just saw today that I have 22 people following me, which I'm like, I sound like such an old like dad that's just like, I have 5 friends, 9 of them are pending, but I have 5 current friends. But no, I think for our first, year as a program, to get 22 people to be like, hey, I want to follow you, I think that's pretty cool. So for everyone that's followed me, thank you for supporting me in this channel. And get ready. We are going on tour here in 1 month. We're going to be in Denver for week 1. And then we're going to be in Jacksonville for the Chiefs week 2. Then Miami week 3 for the Dolphins. Week 4, we're going to be in Green Bay. And then we're going to be in Chicago. And that's going to be this exact setup, but we're going to be interviewing people and we're going to interview fans. I'm going to go live all the time inside the stadiums to show you guys cool stuff. It's going to be amazing. So we will be doing this here in just a little bit. We got, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. About 8 weeks in the season. Wow, no, 7 weeks. In 7 weeks, NFL football will be back. And this is the place for you guys to watch it. And you can follow my friend, my partner, my co-anchor, my everything, Rick at And Now Rick, ANDNOWRICK. Just talk to him. We are prepping to get the band back together for an incredible year. So definitely be anticipating Rick's return. We care about him, unlike Steve, who says nobody cares about the duck. He got my initial on his headphones, so he's got to be cool, right? That's true. I didn't even notice that too. Very good attention to detail there, Steve. And that is the end of this episode. We're going to bring more news on Wednesday. I had some other stuff, but I realized that I'm a little chatty today, so it ran a little bit longer. So no harm, this time of year, having news is better than having no news. So definitely come back Wednesday for the rest of the week's news, and everything that happens tomorrow will be discussed Wednesday as well. And I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you for supporting me in this channel and coming on here and staying up late at night. And I will see you guys soon. Go Broncos. See ya!